Well, you look what we've got here. We've got a bit of a parcel here that's arrived in the old PO box this morning. So let's have a look and see what we've actually got here, shall we? Let's have a little look. See what we've got in here. It's a big old box for a little box. What we've got here? A bit of plastic. So, a bit rattly. Possibly be in there. Got an idea what this is actually. If this is possibly from Mr. G.G. Woods. Did say in my live stream the other day that he had an engine that he something happened to it. Oh, hello, what have we got here? Look. Okay, we've got some engine parts there. We'll put them down there. I don't think there's any more engine parts in that bubble wrap. Yeah, he said there's an engine he took apart and put it back together or something, but it won't turn. Oh, well, it looks like, what the, okay, I was expecting it to be together. I wasn't expecting it to be in bits, which is fine. It's totally fine that it's in bits. I'm pretty sure he said that he put it back together, but it won't turn all the way around. It only turns halfway. So I was expecting it to be in one piece, but just not functional. But that's alright. I'm sure we'll work that out. So that's well, that's completely solid. Alright, we'll have to work that out in a minute, see if we can get this to go. We've got bolts and things. We've got a one-way bearing, a pull start. So we've got two pull starts. Okay, they might come in handy for something or another. Yeah, right, okay. Back plate, couple of shims. I get the feeling that the hump was gotten with this. He got the hump, decided he'd had enough, and chucked it in the box, and that was the end of that. Right, okie dokie, let's switch cameras because this one's crap. I can't see what I'm filming. I have no idea if you've just seen anything what I've just filmed. So I'm just going to have to, I'm going to switch cameras so I can actually see what's being filmed. Right, so anyway, so I don't know the story of this. As I say, it was sent to me by a subscriber. He said, I'm pretty sure, unless I've got this wrong, but I'm pretty sure he said, I took it apart to try and rebuild it. I put it back together, and I'm pretty sure he said it'll only turn halfway, but at the moment, so I suspected he'd put the piston in round the wrong way. Because if you put the piston in round the wrong way, it won't work. It'll hit the crank. But that might not be the case after all. I don't know yet. Right, I can get it to move now. It was very, very stiff. It's got a big notch at the top, but it will go all the way around. Piston hasn't got a notch in the skirt, so but it will go all the way around now. Why it wouldn't go all the way around before, I don't know. Giving it a bit of brute force now, haven't we? Oh, it's just really, really stiff. There is quite a lot of play in that bearing, but I won't get into the politicals about bearings and play in conrods. That seems to be a bit of a sore subject. So let's try and see if we can, let's take these head bolts out. We'll see if we can get the liner out, and we can get the piston out, and we can just inspect it, because although it will go round, but it should be a lot more freer than that. It's really stiff. It should be a lot more looser than that. Make sure that microphone is plugged in. It's a bit stiff. It shouldn't be that stiff at all. So something's a bit funny here. What the JW? It's got JW scribed on the block there for some reason, and on that side. It's weird. I wonder what that's all about. What was I going to say? I was going to say something, I forget what it was. Yeah, the reason why it was taken apart in the first place, I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and read the messages. There is a lot of play there though. I wonder if that was the reason he took it apart. Because the bearings had started to fail. It's anyone's guess. Absolutely anyone's guess. But that feels nice and free, but you just can't do it by hand. Interesting. Oh, we can do it now. Oh, it's gone loose. Oh, there we go then. There we go then. There is quite a little pinch as well, which is handy. That's nice. Oh, there we go. Happy days. Haven't got to do a single thing. There's a lot of play on that bearing. In and out. But that's alright. We'll mitigate that because we'll put a when we put a flywheel on. There's no flywheel here, I've noticed. We've got no flywheel. What we have got, we've got the back plate, the button, the head, 2 pull starts, 3 shims, some washers, a collet. So we've got a collet for a flywheel, just no flywheel. A one-way bearing for the pull starts, some Allen bolts. We should be able to make an engine. I've just got to get a flywheel, but we should be able to get it to hopefully try and start up. We've got a carburetor, so we've got everything we need. We should have everything we need anyway to try and get this to run. Alright, let's do just that. Let's stick the back plate on. Oops. Stick the old back plate on and see what that feels like. I never know. She might be alright. Put a little bit of oil on that. 3-in-1 oil. I've lost my 3-in-1 oil somewhere. Where's it gone? Where's it in my 3-in-1 oil? There it is. I was looking for that. I was thinking, where's that gone? Now this has got a little rubber seal on it. Not that it's probably any good anymore. It looks a little bit flat to me, but it has got a rubber seal on it. Now you never want to put rubber seals in dry because they can pinch or they can snag, as some people like to say. So it's always a good idea just to stick a little bit of oil around the rubber seal, or anything moisturous really. I mean, sometimes, you know, you can spit on it, you know, anything that's a bit moisture, just to lube it up a bit. You know, spit's good for a lot of things. So that can go on there. Happy days. We'll stick that bolt on there. We'll get the pull start on it. We've got to try and work out what the trouble was. We've got to try and work out why. Why? Because he said to me, I'm sure he said, unless I might have got this very mistaken, but I'm sure he said it'll only turn halfway if this is the same engine. I'm sure it was him that said that to me. I've got an engine. I took it apart, put it back together, it'll only turn halfway. Do you want it? So I said yes. I'm sure this is that one. It's probably not, it's probably someone else, and they're shouting at the screen going, why are you giving him all the credit? It was me. No, I'm pretty certain. Anyway, we'll find out in a minute. I mean, bloody hell, the bolt don't want to go in there, does it? We'll find out in a minute what the crack is with it. And to be honest, I reckon it'll have a fair amount of compression, because people don't seem to realise. I think a lot of people get mixed up because they go on about pinch and they go on about compression, and it's the same thing really, because these engines, they don't have rings. You know, as such, you know, they rely on the taper of that liner to make a seal. Well, that one-way bearing's had it. No, it hasn't. because I didn't put the pin in. What a cock. Didn't even see it there. Right, let me stick the pin in. Be back in a minute. Right, I was hoping that the little spring was going to be stuck in there. I was thinking to myself, I didn't see the little spring. I was hoping it was going to be wedged in there and I just missed it, but it's not in there. So I was looking in this box and I can't see any little springs. I mean, there's a thing, I don't know what that's all about. There's a washer. There's a couple more bolts, Allen bolts. There's a what's it there. Another washer. Another washer. But there's definitely no springs in there. I mean, those springs are tiny and I've not got any spare springs, man. I could dismantle another engine to try and get, well, I could get the spring out and put it in there. Am I prepared to do that? That's the question at the moment. Where's the spring gone? What's he done with the spring? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. See, what happens is, for those of you wondering, that little pin here goes in the crank there where the conrod connects, and there's a spring behind it which keeps it pushed out. So when you pull on the pull start, that little pin gets stuck in that little groove there, because look, there's like a little slot which starts off high and then it goes down and it goes into there. So that little pin's rubbing round on there all the time, and it gets stuck in that little groove when you pull on the pull start, right? So that grips on it, and then you can pull the engine over, and once it's running, it then just starts spinning round like that. But without the spring in there, what will happen is this little pin will just bury itself in that hole, and well, it won't do its job. I mean, might be able to tip the engine up like that perhaps and make it fall down, but that's just a whole load of palaver. You'll only get to pull it once, and then it will pop itself back in that hole, and then it will stay in there, and you'll have to tip the engine upside down like that again, pull it once, and it will do the same. So it needs that little spring to keep it pushed out. I haven't got any, so we're at a bit of a dead end there, to be honest. Let me see what I've got in the little parts drawer. Right, we might be going on a bit of a wild goose chase here. I haven't got any HPI engines of this size to take apart to hand. I've got some, but they're not to hand. But what I have got is this old FTX engine, and it's got the same backplate with the same style of bearing. Now I'm hoping that the pin and spring are also the same size, in which case I can just nick the spring. All I want is a spring. I don't even want the pin. I've already got a pin. All I want is a spring, so I might be able to nick the spring out of this one and put it in the other one. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to save the day. Come on, FTX. You know you want to do it. You know you can do it. So let's just do it. That can come off of that. Oh. I don't know, you lot, if that's going to be the what we need. I don't think it's going to be any good. This engine's stuck anyway. I don't know what's the matter with it. I don't think it's got a liner in it. It hasn't got a it's not got a liner in it. I thought it did. It hasn't got a liner in it. That's why this engine gets stuck then. No liner. Somebody's nicked the liner. Anyway, let's try and I want to try and get this out. I don't think that's a springy pin, you know. I think that's just a... It's not even a springy pin, look. It's just a solid pin. it's not got a spring on it, so that's not going to be any good. There'll be some of you out there that already knew that, and you're already shouting at the screen going, you cock, that's not going to be the right one. Well, I don't know, do I? I didn't know until I took it apart, did I? Eh? Not even got a bloody liner in it. Right, let me put this back together and we'll see what else we've got. Right, a T15. We've got a T15 here. Let's see what this has got behind it. I can't remember. I know some of you look give me far too much credit. I mean, I can't remember naff all about anything. There we go. That's the same design. I thought it might be considering it's HPI. So let's see if we can get this pin out of here. Looks a bit stuck. This engine's stuck as well for some reason. I don't know why. It's stuck up there. Try to jab a screwdriver in it to get it to come down, but it won't. It's well and truly stuck, which is a bit of a pain. We'll get it. Right. We might have to take another one apart yet. Right. This one will probably be a better candidate to take apart, because if you listen, you can hear the little pin spring. Ready? Listen carefully. Can you hear it? That's for me turning the engine backwards. So this one's going to be a better one. There's a lot of corrosion on this one. Look at all the corrosion on this one. I don't know whether that's going to focus on that or not. All that corrosion there. That's just from sitting on the shelf. Loads of it, man. That's mad, isn't it, eh? That's what happens. Moist, wet environment, you know. Right. See if we can get this off. This one's much better. This pin's not stuck. The other pin was stuck. So let's get that out. We want the pin. There's the spring. Spring's in there. So I've just got to be careful not to lose the spring, and we'll get that out and put that in this engine. There it is. That's what we want. Come on, please focus. Please. Please. There we go. Little spring. That's what we want. So now I should be able to put that in there. It's not going to be the ideal fitment. It's probably going to be a little bit small. And then we can put that pin in there. All this. There we go. And it's nice and springy. You're never going to be able to focus on it. I'm sorry. I do apologise for this focusing on this camera, but now there's a little spring there now, and that's nice and springy. Hopefully you can see the pin in there. It's poking out proud now, whereas before it was sitting in there. Lovely. So put that pin aside. That's all for that engine. That's probably a good T15, that one. Now we can put this back plate back on here. Like that. Oh, that's the wrong way around. That way. There we go. Yep, there we go. And it works. And it grips. And it works. So that's good. Right. Back to where we were. Right, so back plate is on. One way bearing. Right, okay, so what pull start is going to work? That one might. Well, I don't know, I can't see anything wrong with that. Personally, does this pull start going there as well? It does. Well, we'll find out, won't we? We will find out. Let's see, let's stick a couple of these bolts in there. And then we can stick the button on and stick the head on. And see what the crack is with it. Try and work out why. Well, what the problem was. I'll have to go back and read the messages because I'm sure he said it wouldn't turn over. Well, I've managed to get it to turn over. It was a bit stiff. I did have to use a pair of mole grips, but we got there and you know, it turns over. It wasn't hard, so that can't have been the problem. Well, we got the head off. I'm going to stick, I could use after-run oil, but I'm going to put some 3-in-1 oil down there, just around that liner, around that piston. Give that loads of oil, so that's nicely lubricated. I should have put a bit on the crank really, and on the pin and all that, but I didn't. Should have done really, but that'll oil that up nicely. That all that suck can run around there. We can stick the button on now. We can see where, oh, shims, we should put shim on really. What shall we do? We've got 3 here. Does that mean, I wonder if that means there was 3 on it, or have we just got 3 random shims? I mean, that's anybody's guess. I mean, that seems like a lot to me, but well, as soon as we've got the 3, we'll put 3 on. And if we end up with like low compression, we can always take a shim or 2 off, can't we? If we do end up with low compression. So let's put that on there. Put these bolts in. That's not the right one. And see what we end up with. Hopefully, we'll end up with a nice engine. You're more than welcome to place your bets. Where I was going in there. You're more than welcome to place your bets now. Do you reckon this is going to be any good? Do you reckon we're going to have a runner? Do you reckon we're going to have some sort of catastrophic failure? What do we think is going to be the problem? There was a problem with it, but I have to go back and have a look at the messages and try and find out what the problem actually was. Always remember, when you're doing these head bolts up, or any bolt that goes on a mating surface, makes a seal, especially if it gets hot, make sure you do them up in a cross pattern. So from there to there to there to there, for example, and do them up at gradual tightnesses. Don't just go tight, 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 tight. Go like a little bit tight, a little bit tight, a little bit tight, a little bit tight, a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter, etc, 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 until you reach the desired torque. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, got a plug in there. It's leaking out. Don't know if that plug's tight though. What we've got here. Do that plug up a bit. I can hear it leaking. Okay, so that's the compression leaking past the piston and coming down that I can hear. Let me see if I can show you that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good enough focus to be able to show you that. I'll have to try and set up some sort of torch or something somehow. Yeah, that's never going to work, is it? Hold on, bear with me. I don't know, I'm trying really hard here to try to get enough light in there so that you can see the bubbles, but you should be able to hear them, ready? You might even be able to see them. There's the piston. Right, hold on. Right, there's the, oh come on, Jesus. There's the piston. Right, look for bubbles. Can you see them? There, you must better see them bubbles now. It's because of all the oil I put in there. Can you see the bubbles? So that noise is just the compression in there leaking past that piston. I don't think that that's going to be a massive problem, considering this engine's probably a little bit worn. I think it'll run perfectly fine. There's enough, there's more than enough compression there for that to hopefully give a bit of a go. So the play on that bearing's completely gone now. We've got that back plate on. I wouldn't say that's bad at all. Right, happy days. One engine. Let me try and work out, try and get a flywheel we can stick on it, and then I'll have to mount it in something, and then we'll go and get it to run. So I've got a little bit of nitro in here. I'm just gonna get the old heat gun out. This heat gun's seen some use, I tell you. Bloody hell. Been using this heat gun in these videos now for the best part of, what's it, about 8 years. So I've got a little bit of nitro. We'll heat this up. And hopefully she'll run. Now, let's get a glow starter. I'm running out of time this evening now, so all I want to do, I want to just see if this is going to fire and what it's going to be like. So I haven't had time to get a flywheel sorted, so there's no flywheel on it, so it's not going to run any good really at all. I just want to see if it's going to fire and what it's going to sound like briefly. I've put this exhaust on, but it's on round the wrong way really, because it's in the way of the carburetor there. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm not going to need to rev it anyway, so we should be alright. Glow plug in it, bit of nitro. Let's give it a bit of a prime. That bit of a pipe there's not a lot of good. Give it a bit of a blow. Right, there we go. She's primed, ready to rock and roll. What are we going to get? Are we going to get anything good? Who knows? Runs a treat. Well, that runs really well. I'm not going to run it too long because I haven't got a flywheel on it or anything like that, as I've already said, but she runs well. So in the next video, in the meantime of the next video, I'm going to get a flywheel sorted. We'll stick a flywheel on it, probably try and stick a clutch on it and a bell as well. Now I know that it is going to run. It doesn't sound like a bag of nails, and there's nothing wrong with the inside of that engine anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message to Mr. G.G. Woods and try and find out what the trouble is. I'm assuming this is that engine. There was no note or nothing in the box, so I'm assuming it's you know, it's the same one. But anyway, it runs all right, and we'll probably stick it in a buggy or maybe in a Savage. Probably stick it in a buggy though, because it'll be easier, and we'll give it a run. So if you like that sort of thing, consider sticking around. I'm always getting old engines going, old nitro cars, all kinds of things like that. It's all in the name of fun and games. Remember to treat each other equally, treat everybody the same. We'll all have a nice happy life. And I'll see you in the next one, you lot. All the best.